How about you, everybody? Welcome to the Auburn Live call-in show. I'm your host, Jeffrey Lee, Senior Recruiting Editor for Auburn Live on 3. Today is Monday, January the 8th, 2023. We thought nothing's going on tonight. Why not have the show on a Monday?
Right?
Monday night call-in show. How about them apples? We do know that there's a game going on. Cut that damn thing down and listen to us. Come talk to us. We want to get to the phone lines as quickly as possible, 701-779-9585. I know we've got some making up to do.
Yes.
To answer all your questions, to address all your comments. As always, Mr. Jhead, Mr. Cole Pinkston are here with me. How about you, fellas?
How about you, big dog? And happy New Year to everybody.
Yes, sir.
Face to face with you fine gentlemen. Got some OC change, DC change, recruiting news, and a national championship game to top it all off. I'm excited, man. I'm ready to get in on tonight.
We've got a lot of news.
We are not at a lack for news right now.
Yeah, right. A lot of news today. Hell, Auburn's Ron Roberts is gone. Philip Montgomery is gone.
Yes.
Got commitments from Rico Walker, Trill Carter, some transfer guys coming in. So a lot of things to go over. I know our callers are going to go wild tonight. We're going to give them as much time as possible. Before we get to it all, I want to say, if you're looking for a house in or around Auburn, Opelika, look no further for the help you need. Miss Jessica Andrus with the Talents Group. Give her a call, 334-704-4442. She is a 5-star realtor. If you don't believe me, just ask me. I'll tell you. She's a 5-star realtor. Listen, also, I've been following this real estate stuff. You know, I know the interest rates are coming down a little bit, but man, you better get in now. Because what happens when the interest rates come down, the prices go up. So right now the interest rates are high, but the prices are lower. You buy now, you refinance. That's how you do it, big dog. Ask me. Call in and ask me. I'm a real estate mogul. Or you can call Jessica Anderson. She'll help you out, man. 334-704-4442. Give her a call. Tell her we sent you.
Yes,
all right. Let's get both of y'all's quick thoughts on the coordinators moving. Ron Roberts reportedly going to Florida. Philip Montgomery, who knows?
Correct. I think, if best guess, most of the offensive coordinator jobs I think he would be up for right now probably have filled at this point. You're probably looking at him taking a year off or maybe working as an analyst somewhere. That would be probably what happens, in my opinion. Don't know that to be fact, but I think that's probably what we're looking at. But as far as OC and DC change, I don't want to speculate too much here, but I think you're just looking for cohesion moving forward. The two candidates at offensive coordinator you need to know, obviously, are Derek Nix, wide receivers coach at Ole Miss, formerly running backs coach at Ole Miss underneath Hugh Freeze. Ken Austin, who's presently the quarterbacks analyst at Auburn, was the offensive coordinator at Hugh Freeze under Liberty, has also been an offensive coordinator at Ole Miss, and a head coach in the CFL. So a lot of experience there as it pertains to offensive football and quarterbacks. DC, I put a post up today of what I believe to be the hot board. I think I'm pretty fairly sourced on that. Starts out with Chris Kiffin, linebackers coach for the Houston Texans, followed by Zach Arnett, former head coach and defensive coordinator at Mississippi State. Charles Kelly, who's presently on staff at Auburn with a role to be determined just yet, but previously was the defensive coordinator at Colorado, followed up by Zach Simons, who's the defensive coordinator at SMU, and Jeff Collins, the now defensive coordinator at North Carolina, though I'm hearing less about him today than I did probably the week leading up, and that probably has to do with the fact he just accepted a DC job. But with that, I will turn it to Cole and let him give his thoughts.
I don't have much, man. Really, just it's not surprising with Montgomery. When Hugh Freeze took over the play, I mean, it was pretty obvious when Hugh Freeze took over play calling. You could see it. More RPOs. You could see him covering his mouth. Stuff like that was going on. The game plan was totally different. And if it's going to be that drastically different between your offensive coordinator and when you take over and call plays, then there's something there. And it makes a lot of sense. Roberts, I mean, I thought he performed pretty well as Auburn's defensive coordinator. There's some controversial calls, maybe in the Georgia game, in the Alabama game. But, I thought he did a pretty good job overall. So I think it's just normal, man. This is the normal part of any offseason now, especially after year one. You're trying to figure out what the best move is, trying to get cohesion, like you said. And it just doesn't – I don't know if it comes in year one anymore with all the moving parts that happen right now.
And that's an interesting point, Cole, because the recruiting calendar is what it is. I think you're so trying to put things together extremely quickly that maybe – before you had until, the February signing day, you had more time to probably vet certain candidates and what's best for your culture and longevity. I don't think you get that opportunity anymore. You're having to recruit your own team, number one, from going into the portal. You need extra bodies to do that. Number two, you got to be able to sell an offense and defensive philosophy and get your own guys in. And it's just not set up for success in year one. But I do want to say this. I think Ron Roberts is a good defensive coordinator. I think anybody that would pretend to say that he's not is fooling themselves and or having some revisionist history because we just parted ways. Does that mean that Hugh Freeze didn't potentially initiate this? No, it doesn't. But I think he is good at what he does. He's a good in-game play caller, play designer, and I think he'll do well at Florida.
Hey, we're going to bring on Justin Hogenson from Auburn Live, our team scooper. He's been all over these coaching changes as well as some transfer quarterback recruiting and can give us a general overall of what all is going down because there's a lot of moving pieces going on right now. Justin, you here with us, buddy?
Yeah. What's up?
Well, catch everybody up on what's going on, Justin. You've been all over this coaching changes. You've kind of had our members ready for any moves that have come. You've got some candidates for replacement, but just kind of catch everybody up on what's going on the last, 2 weeks?
Yeah. It's been a little crazy. I tried to give them as much as I could last week. I know everybody was a little upset, but there's just things I didn't feel comfortable saying, but I was trying to set the stage for changes that were coming the best I could. Philip Montgomery should come as no surprise to anybody who's a member of our board. Ron Roberts was no surprise. It's been a member of our board. Derek Nix is the expected OC. When will that happen? That's kind of the question regarding Derek Nix. The hang up there is, Nix is likely to coach running backs. That's what he coached at Ole Miss for most of his time there. He only coached receivers at Ole Miss the last couple of years. So if he's going to come over and be OC, which I expect him to do, I expect Hugh Freeze to call plays. I expect Ken Austin to probably just be bumped up to coach quarterbacks, which he's already doing a lot of anyway. Can't coach running backs if there's somebody there in that position, which is what Carnell Williams is now. So I think the hang up there is, what is Carnell Williams' future at Auburn? I think that's very much unclear at the moment. And so until that's resolved, I'm not sure if we'll have movement on Derek Nix. I think it will get resolved, but we got to figure that out. Derek Nix is likely to come on and be – the expectation is that he's going to be your OC, kind of not in title only. The guy's been around and he'll be a coordinator of sorts, but Freeze will call the plays and sort of be a joint effort. So you got to figure out there if he's going to coach running backs, what happens with Carnell Williams. As far as defensive coordinator, I told the board this at noon today. Chris Kiffin, Zach Arnett are the two names to watch. Both those guys were targeted by Hugh Freeze last year. Hugh Freeze talked to both of them. There was serious smoke on both of them before he ever even moved on to Ron Roberts. And so I think it's the same thing again. Kiffin's obviously with the Texans. They made the playoffs. I don't know why that would be a hang up. Like, if that's the guy you want, then you just wait for him. It's not like that has to be a hang up. If that's who you want, to me. There's not recruiting wise, there's not like you need the guy. It's not like normal recruiting where you need to have somebody on campus in January. So, but I think Hugh's talked to both those guys, Kiffin and Zach Arnett. If it goes past those two, Kelly is certainly an option there as a co-DC or a DC. Wow, as we're talking, Kevin Steele's retiring.
Damn.
Yeah, that just happened.
Yeah, Cole just posted that in the chat.
Yeah.
T-Rob.
Happening. He is not available.
Yeah.
Can we not even talk about that?
Hey, Justin, let me ask you this: what do you think? What do you think the holdup is with Charles Kelly and his assignment? Where do you think they're kind of waiting to see what the DC does?
Yeah, I think it's just, what's his title going to be? If it's how exactly is that going to play out? Even if they were to hire Zach Arnett or Chris Kiffin, let's say, I don't know what kind of conversations are happening on the back end. Is it possible that let's say they're going to hire Chris Kiffin? Is it possible that Freeze says, "Hey, Chris, if you don't mind, can we just give Kelly the title of co-DC? Is that okay with you? Like, because he's been a co-DC and a DC before Kelly has. And so it could easily be just sort of figure. I would imagine if you go hire a defensive coordinator, I would imagine it being a situation where Kelly coaches the safeties and Zach coaches the corners. And then it's just figuring out, is Kelly your DC or is he just kind of a co-DC in name only, and sort of what that looks like. That's kind of, I think that's the hang up there. I think Zach's in a good place. I mean, I talked about last week there being 4 positions that I thought Hugh Freeze was contemplating. 2 of them were the coordinators. One of them was Cornell. One of them was Zach. I think Zach's fine now.
Zach Etheridge.
I'm not nearly as worried about that at the moment. So I think he's in a good position now. It's just sort of figuring out when all these hires are going to be made.
Whew. Man, that's a really good rundown. This is going to be a long. What the coaching convention is? Coaching convention is this weekend.
This week, it's all week.
7th to the 10th.
Oh, okay. So they've already begun.
And I was told today Freeze is on campus. I thought maybe Freeze was up there, but I was told this morning he was in Auburn. So, I thought he might be up there. But a lot of this stuff happens around the convention. So I think there's a pretty good plan in place of where it's going. And I think sort of the bigger picture, we'll let it iron out. But I think when you're looking at it, you're looking at Derek Nix is somebody who was on staff with Hugh Freeze, who he targeted last year. Chris Kiffin is somebody who was on staff with Hugh Freeze at Ole Miss, who he targeted last year. Zach Arnett, somebody he targeted last year. If those are the moves that end up being made, it very much, signals some moves by Freeze of, one, he feels like he targeted some good guys last year and didn't get the job done, and sealing the deal for whatever reason. I shouldn't say he didn't get the job done. It just didn't work out. But I think it's pretty clear he's trying to bring in guys and create his culture. Like if you were to bring in Derek Nix and Chris Kiffin, that's 2 guys who absolutely know what you're about and what your program's about, to go along with all the guys you brought with you from Liberty. So I think there's a lot of signals to, even go back to what he said after the bowl game about player-led team and just guys not buying in and this and that. I think this is the time, year 1 to year 2 is the time when you got to make some moves and solidify your culture, whatever that's going to be. You better make those moves now, because the boosters and the donors are going to give you a pass year 1. And that doesn't mean they're not mad or upset about how the bowl game went, for instance. But in general, they're going to give you a pass. They will not give you that pass next year. So you better make the moves now you want to make to solidify your culture, so next year you don't maybe have some of these issues and you can point to trying to build some of this stuff up. That's kind of what I see. It's a very critical time, I think, in trying to build whatever he wants to make this thing out to be. He needs to do it now, because there won't be any more passes after, once you get after spring ball.
Justin, speaking of culture, man, we're moving down to the players and the transfer portal. We've seen a couple of players surprisingly enter the portal. We've heard some names that were going in that apparently Auburn has solidified to keep. What are you kind of hearing as far as Auburn players in the portal? Keontae Scott, there've been some popular names rumored, and even I think Keontae even went publicly and said he planned on entering.
Yeah, the Keontae thing is interesting. Just that's one that we have these conversations behind the scenes that nobody knows about. But that's one that was talked about going all the way back to last week to last Tuesday. I thought his name was about to go in, and Auburn talked him out of it. And then Thursday night, talked to a source that said, yes, Keontae's going in, but we're going to fight to keep him. And I was like, okay. And then sure enough, Friday, everything kind of breaks that he did plan on going in. I even talked to a source Saturday that confirmed that he did go in. We're just waiting on his name to be official. That's kind of the hang up. And so the way this works, and I mentioned it on the board, but the way this works, and it can get confusing, is you enter your name. The school has 48 hours to push your paperwork through. Well, if he enters his name Thursday at midnight, 48 hours could be all day Friday and then all day today. Mm-hmm. I don't think the weekend counts. So you're talking about 48 hours could be, they could wait till today to push his paperwork. Then you got to show up in the system. So it's not surprising necessarily yet that he's not in the system. Now, once you put your name in, you can't, you're going to be in the system. You can pull your name out, but you're going to show up in the system. So I think what we're waiting on now is I have confirmation that he absolutely was going in. But until he actually shows up, did something happen in that 48 hours, potentially up to the last moment, to not process his paperwork? I haven't heard anything to say that he's not going in. I mean, I think with everything that's been out there, we would have heard from Keontae by now that what are y'all talking about? I'm not going in. We would have heard from him, and we haven't.
Maybe got another video.
It's just interesting. Does he? Yeah, go ahead.
I said maybe we get another video that he's staying. A second one.
Right. That's the one. But even if he goes in, I told her immediately when I reported this on whatever day, I forget what day we're on.
Yeah.
I immediately said, Auburn's not. This is not over. Auburn's going to fight to keep him. I think they've got a decent chance to keep him. Like, this is, even if his name officially goes in, this is not like any other guy that's entered the portal. This is a guy that they're going to fight to keep, and I think they've got a fighting chance to keep. Obviously mentioned Texas A&M, Wesley McGriff. That's a strong pull there if he were to leave. But he's an important player. He's a culture guy. He's a good player. I don't know if he's a great player. I think he's a really good player. I think on Auburn's team, he's really valuable.
Very.
Where Auburn's at right now. But he's an incredible culture guy. He does things the right way. Kind of guy you don't want to lose when you're trying to build the culture. So that's probably it. I mean, Keontae, there was some rumblings about some other DBs, but I don't believe any of them entered. There were some rumblings about Dylan Wade. We saw his post today saying he's coming back. Jason Jones coming back, which I'm not sure where he was going. But, yeah, I think Keontae is kind of the one at the moment that we're sort of just waiting to see, one, if his name actually officially populates in, and then even if it does, kind of what happens and if Auburn can sort of keep him before he ever gets any further down the path in this portal process.
Justin, last thing for me, big dog. Transfer portal quarterback. Hugh came out early in December and said, hey, we're not interested. We're good with what we've got. And then we all saw the fall apart in the bowl game. And then we all heard, led by you and your information, that Auburn was had interest in Cam Ward. There was a couple other guys, but never really got heated up to the point of a visit. Although Caden Salter enters, and there's a mystery visitor there at the same time as CJ Daniels. We were fairly certain it was Caden Salter, but could not get confirmation on that. And then that evening, he leaves, or presumably would have left, and enters back into Liberty. Justin, are you hearing anything new on the transfer portal quarterback or where Auburn might go if they go anywhere?
There's nothing new.
Okay.
Nothing new at the moment. I mean, you've got the UNLV quarterback just committed to Georgia. A lot of these guys that I've heard names of, there's interest have gone elsewhere. The one guy that I mentioned on the board that still no movement has happened is Seth Hennigan at Memphis. But at this point, I don't know that any movement there is going to happen. I mean, I know Auburn was interested in him if he did enter the portal. Auburn's not alone. There were other schools. Miami was interested in him if he entered the portal. And you see somebody at Miami just signed a quarterback. Everybody's kind of found their quarterback by now. So Hennigan may be a guy that's just not going to enter. Salter was a guy that, Auburn had interest in, but even him, I said last week, listen, Salter could end up at Auburn. But by no means do I think it's a done deal. By no means do I think it's inevitable. I was like, I'm not even sure if he's the number one target, or I'm not even sure exactly how bad Hugh Freeze wants him. I think that's kind of what played out. I think he had interest at Auburn. Auburn had interest there. I don't know if maybe his camp wanted some, had an ask or an NIL ask that just didn't match up with what Hugh Freeze wanted to do. It's a curious situation because I do think initially Hugh Freeze was not going to be desperate for a quarterback and was going to, if the perfect situation came along, like Riley Leonard, that should have happened. And it fell apart. And then Auburn didn't really want to get involved in the Cam Ward sweepstakes. And then I think they got involved late when kind of nobody wanted to give him that number. And they're like, well, and they kind of came back around and I think made an offer, but then it was too late. And I think he's going to stick in the NFL. So, it's been interesting to sort of follow. And then I think the bowl game definitely changed things. I think for a moment anyway, I think the bowl game was like, okay, maybe I do need to bring somebody in, at least compete. Maybe I made a mistake there, but now here you are. You still don't have one. Caden Salter would have made a lot of sense. You didn't do that for whatever reason. And I mean, could you do one before the spring, some kind of graduate transfer? Could you do one after the spring? I guess, but seems like if you're going to bring somebody in to compete, they should have been in there.
Yeah.
I mean, Peyton Thorne came in last summer, and that was a big issue where he didn't understand the whole Auburn. He didn't have a lot of time. So I don't know what they're going to do. I still think the door's open to bring in a quarterback, but I still get the sense that Hugh Freeze is just not desperate about the quarterback. I think he felt pressure after the bowl game.
Yeah.
From not only himself, but from donors that were like, hey, I mean, can we just make a move here and then let him compete something? I think he felt pressure there. And there was definitely a shift that happened. Like he needed to revisit his whole approach. But I still think that there's some, I don't know what the right word, if it's hesitation or whatever. I just still think there's a little bit of him that's thinking, man, like, let me just try to play out with these guys that I think have got some ability, and let me try to build around them. And the other thing I wonder about Hugh Freeze, going back to a lot of the stuff he's said, and about his approach to culture, about his approach to community, about his approach to the portal, I just still get a sense also that I wonder if he's got hesitation to bring in a portal quarterback that you're going to have to pay. He's going to have NIL asks. You're going to have to meet those. He's going to come in thinking, I'm the guy. You're bringing me in to start. And then what happens if Peyton Thorne plays really well in the spring? What happens if that guy doesn't start A-Day? What happens if it's just not a perfect fit and you bring a quarterback into the quarterback room that thinks he's entitled to the job, but then he has to fight for it and work for it? And Hugh Freeze can be really hard on a quarterback. What happens if he brings that guy in and then Hugh Freeze is really hard on him? And he's like, and it just doesn't maybe go the way that guy thought it was going to go. And next thing you know, you've got an environment in your quarterback room that's not great because you brought a guy in who thought he was kind of entitled to the job, and it's harder than he thought it would be, or he's not being given the job. I don't know that. I just think knowing kind of how Hugh Freeze has talked about all of this, I still think there's a little bit of hesitation there from him about bringing a guy in and disrupting that room. And do you lose Hank Brown or do you lose somebody else? I just think there's a little bit of that in him, combined with other stuff. But I just think him in the portal is still a very interesting read on how he's doing this. I think he wants to bring in a guy, whether it's quarterback or anywhere else, that's not going to feel entitled to start. It doesn't have some astronomical NIL ask that feels like it'll be a culture fit. I think anything past that starts to make him feel uncomfortable about, is this going to be a guy that I got to come in and manage, or they're going to disrupt some of the culture things I'm already building? I think I just wonder if he's a little hesitant on some of it,
Ooh, it's going to be something to track moving forward. Certainly, he's rolling the dice with the quarterbacks he's got. But he's the man. Let him make his decisions. I've got my opinion on the quarterbacks, but maybe we'll get to it. Hey, Justin, appreciate you calling in, big dog. The intel was far superior than anything we could have hoped. And y'all keep track of Justin at Auburn Live on 3. Come join us if you haven't already. All right. Hey, thanks, Justin. Appreciate you, buddy. Jhead, there's some storms in Alabama right now, and I think his internet just went out.
Yeah, that's probably
hopefully he's in the hall with a pillow over his head. And,
told him to try the hotspot. He's going to try to join us with the hotspot. See if that works.
Ooh, fancy. Let's get to the phone lines. Man, I tell you what, Justin summarized everything is better than we could have hoped. So I hope everybody now calling in has got a better understanding of kind of what's out there, what's going on, and maybe Justin even answered some of the questions that you guys had. But Zach, let's go 701-779-9585. Jhead is back just in time, thanks to Cole's IT. Intel.
We'll start with 5960. You're live.
Bring it on.
What's going on, fellas?
Oh, kid.
Look at him, Jhead already.
Happy New Year to y'all, man.
Happy New Year, Edward.
Happy New Year.
Everybody doing okay?
Yes, sir.
Fairly well, man. Actually, I am.
Yeah. Better than you call, big dog.
Go ahead, man.
We're waiting on you, big dog. Lead us off, man.
Hey, man. The foundation finna get built, man. We finna start building this thing, man. We finna get the right pieces in place.
Okay.
Hey, this year, honestly, it went about worse as the season could have went in year one for Hugh Freeze on the field. Outside of recruiting, this probably was his worst case scenario to have to fire both coordinators. A New Mexico State lost and
4th and 31.
Games where the team was just flat. But it's like I explained about the New Mexico State. You know, Hugh pretty much came back and confirmed exactly what I said behind the Maryland loss. You know, he was more focused on trying to reel Cam in heading into that New Mexico State week. You know, he let Phillip do his thing, and it wasn't good enough. You know, it just wasn't good enough. Future's still bright. But as far as the defensive coordinator, I've been seeing a lot of names. But it's one name that make a lot of sense that nobody even brought up for real. If I'm Hugh Freeze, I take a good look at Josh Aldridge. And here's why. Josh Aldridge, when he was at Liberty, had one of the better defenses in the country. But what also did he tell us? Josh Aldridge went to Baylor, learned that defense from Ron Roberts. Josh Aldridge on staff with Ron Roberts for a whole year this season. I think it's more, I don't really, Zach Arnett, I get that, great defensive mind, but do you really want to go from 0-2-5 pretty much to 3-3-5? Do you really want your players to have to learn a whole new system? Right now, it's all about who he's comfortable with, man.
I can
If
answer.
that's the case, you got a guy on staff that you have that have worked with you. And believe it or not, Aldridge is going to be a damn rock star defensive coordinator or head coach. Nobody knew who Schumann was. I mean, nobody knew who Curry was, honestly, at the time he took over at Alabama. I mean, so I'm opposed to so many retreads. Man, you see these same guys get jobs all around the country. It's time for some. You got some younger coaches, man, that deserve opportunity because he can't afford to get it right with Aldridge. You're not gonna have any culture issues. He knows exactly how you want it. You know exactly what's expected from you. He's one of the best recruiters in the country. Look at his linebacker class that he just signed. I mean, if it's me, all those big names sometimes they sound good, but if you're looking at a culture fit and somebody that we don't have to teach you the terminology all over. We don't have to learn a whole new system. To me, that's setting you back another year in order to have to do that. I just want to hear y'all thoughts, man.
Jhead.
So what I would tell you is that I do think Josh Aldridge is under consideration to be a co-defensive coordinator. If Charles Kelly were to be the pick as defensive coordinator, I think Josh Aldridge would be promoted to co-defensive coordinator, and you would see a very similar system in play. I think with Chris Kiffin, you would see a similar system to what we're running now. Obviously, Zach Arnett is very different, and I think he is married to his system somewhat. But I think two of the guys, Edward, that you have that are under consideration for this job, and I would say two of the top three, would run a very similar system to what we're doing. But I think Hugh Freeze's comfort level with having a veteran play caller. I think the difference between Nick Saban is Nick Saban's a defensive guy. And if there's issues on the defensive side of the ball, he can jump in on that side and help out. Hugh Freeze is not going to be able to jump in on the defensive side of the ball and help out the structure of the defense or the play calling or the play design, mismatch on personnel, what coverage to throw here or there. He can give ideas, but he's never been in a defensive play caller seat. So I think
you said he would rather a defensive head coach pretty much. There's somebody that, hey, you in charge over that side. I don't even want to have to come over there.
I think he's not probably, especially as much time as he's going to spend on the offensive side of the ball. You want somebody that has done it before and done it at a high level and doesn't need a whole lot of assistance. I think this year he probably could be more on the defensive side of the ball because he was freed up somewhat by having Philip Montgomery moving into a situation where he's likely going to be calling plays, regardless of who the offensive coordinator is. His concentration is largely going to be on the offensive side, and thus I think you need a veteran defensive presence. And that's probably why you haven't heard Aldridge's name. But I will tell you this. There are schools that are interested in Josh Aldridge with being their defensive coordinator. He is absolutely a rising star. And I do think he would be elevated to co-defensive coordinator with Charles Kelly probably as your primary play caller. And maybe one day Josh taking over from there. But as of today, I wouldn't favor Charles Kelly being the pick. Not right now. My number one on the list and who I think the number one target is Chris Kiffin. I think that's the guy that he wanted to begin with.
But Chris Kiffin, right, if I'm not mistaken, it's the same guy that left college because he didn't want to recruit. Because he said he didn't care for the grind, the day-to-day grind of recruits.
I think that was the rumor, Edward. I don't know that to be necessarily factual. And then I also don't know that he was being paid the amount of money that he'd be looking at as a defensive coordinator at Auburn either. I think sometimes the amount of money you get paid dictates where your energy lies, right? So you have an opportunity. And Chris Kiffin is a very effective recruiter. I mean, I think you saw what he was capable of doing at Ole Miss. He's also been a DC at Florida Atlantic, and then has been at finishing school in the NFL for the San Francisco 49ers, Cleveland Browns, and now at the Houston Texans. And I will tell you this, I think the world of the Houston Texans head coach. I think he is one of the absolute stars in the NFL right now. And if Chris Kiffin knows and understands the structure of his defense and brings that to the Plains, that's something that Auburn fans should be excited about.
Edward, we always appreciate you, big dog.
Hey, man, I just let y'all know before I get off, man. I appreciate what y'all do. And listen to y'all, Blackaby, Charlie 5, War Report. Y'all have inspired me to Edward finna start creating his own Auburn content here shortly in the spring.
Oh,
I like it.
I just want to say thank y'all, man, for letting me be a caller on the show. Man, it's just something that I feel like, that I wanted to venture off to. And now that I'm fully self-employed, I work for nobody but Edward. I got the time to do it. And, man, I just want to say I appreciate everything that y'all did. And I look forward to continue calling, man. And we really sit down chopping it up, man. Y'all guys have a good night.
Awesome, Edward. That's awesome, big dog. We appreciate you, man.
I can only hope, Edward, that you're going to talk about your cooking and all that too, man. Because if y'all don't have Edward on socials, he's cooking some good food, man.
You should see some of the things that Edward's.
My goodness.
Okay,
I'm gonna come get a plate, man. I ain't far down the road.
But I'm excited for you, big dog. I want to see that content. I will be tuned in to your live stream, to your podcast. Edward.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Quick update. Michigan is up 7-0 over Washington. 7 minutes left in the first quarter. Also, R.J. Delancey, the third, committed to Wisconsin tonight. As we posted this morning, man, he wanted to come to Auburn. Auburn really wanted him. Academically, it just could not work out. That's all I know is that he wanted in. I mean, Cole and I talked to him Friday, or I believe it was Friday after his visit. Dude was basically saying, I'm coming. Yeah, I'm coming. And sources at Auburn said yes. I mean, they wanted him. And but academically, it just could not work out. I don't know if it was the major, the transfer of credits, or what, but it was something. Hold up. And as far as looking at resumes and bringing them in, I don't know about all that stuff. It's not as easy as you think. Hey, man, hand me your transcripts. Let me run it. Oh, yeah, okay, you're good. It's not that easy. It's not that easy, especially on a weekend, especially on Christmas break. Auburn University's on Christmas break. So, and I know that they're going to call people in. But either way, Delancey's off the board. He's going to Wisconsin. As far as we know, as far as transfer defensive backs, man, I know Auburn wanted 3 at least at one point. And I don't know if that had to do with so-and-so we're thinking he's going to leave, so we're going to get this guy in. But maybe with guys staying, they don't need that many. Jhead, you got something to –
No, I think the only one that I've got under consideration right now is Christian Story. That's one that I'm going to be paying attention to.
Checked with him. Hadn't heard from Auburn.
Okay. And you would know, obviously. Look, I trust your sourcing, Jeffrey, and obviously
it was Christian.
Okay. Then that's
according to Christian. Now, he may not want it out there, but according to Christian, and I know him and his father from Lynette, but he said, no, I haven't heard from Auburn.
Okay. And that's surprising to me. I would have thought the relationship between him and Charles Kelly the need potentially is for a veteran safety, it would make a lot of sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jake Pope is another one that would make sense to me, former defensive back
Yeah.
at Alabama. But again, I haven't spoken to anybody. These are just, hey, I think this makes sense for Auburn given, Charles Kelly's presence on the coaching staff right now.
Right. I agree.
But you know what? Hey, listen, what's today? Monday. This was maybe Saturday.
Okay.
When Christian, so who knows what has happened in the past 48 hours? But as of Saturday, Christian Story, who I was like y'all, this makes a lot of sense.
Right.
Had not heard from Auburn, and as of tonight, I don't have anybody on the DB board, even though I know they're looking to bring somebody in.
I would think at least one, right?
The Pope guy, I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye on him.
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple of names floating out there that would make sense, just like Jhead was just saying. Well, I mean, thing is, if you can't get in contact with them, it's really hard to figure it out. And now we have to wait to see if they visit or something of that nature. RJ Delancey's a pretty good player, kind of scrappy. That's a guy they wanted. I don't know. The secondary, to me, while you have a lot of young talent that I think is going to be really good, I think you're bringing in some good talent from the 24 class. It's still a head scratcher to me. And it's not because of that young talent. I think they're going to be fine. I'm trying to figure out the plan there, if that makes sense. I can't quite wrap my mind around the plan there and at running back. Running back looks good right now, but what does it look like in the future? What's the move there? I'm trying to figure that out. And look, with Justin's reporting, if there's something going on with Zach Etheridge and Cadillac Williams, well, that makes a lot of sense.
It does, doesn't it?
Yep.
I mean, and I can't speak to that. That's Justin's work. But if it falls into that vein, it absolutely would make sense.
Well, let's get back to the phone line. Let's try to get some many as we can tonight, man. I'm trying to win back some folks. Get mad at us because we've been gone.
We have.
Yeah. How about that though? Sunday night, Christmas Eve, New Year's Eve, FCS championship was last night, which is much more important than the Power Five tonight.
For sure.
Before we take our first call, let's take picks on, because we should have done this when we started. Who's going to win the national championship tonight? Jeffrey, let's start with you.
Michigan will win it, but I want Washington to.
Gotcha.
I picked Michigan in a thread earlier today on the board, so Michigan. And they're up 7-0 right now.
I picked Michigan as of 9 this morning in our thread that Jeffrey started for the call-in show. They wanted to know who we were picking. I went Michigan. Zach, who you got, man?
I'm kind of with Jeffrey, but I'll be different. I'm going with Washington.
I hear you. I'm not going to argue that, dude.
No.
Receivers are just so good. They're so fast. I mean, they're in the red zone right now, so it could be 7-7 here in a few minutes.
My concern with Michigan was would they be able to keep up with Washington? My concern with Washington was would they be able to control the line of scrimmage, because Michigan's front is fantastic.
They are for real. And that's
that little change up there, Cole. I like it. Mid-word.
I bet you did, buddy.
Turn that U into an A real quick. Zach would have kicked me off the show.
He would. We would have been demonetized for the rest of the show. But no, I think Michigan's going to ball control, grind it out. I think they're going to try to keep the ball out of Washington's hand as much as they can. And I'm with you, Jeffrey. I default back to who's got the most talent on the team. And I think Michigan, top to bottom, has a better roster than Washington.
And it's really not close, is it?
No.
All right, Zach, keep it going, big dog.
I believe we got Kevin from Wilmer here. So
Hey, hot boy Kevin.
Kevin from Wilmer, Alabama.
What's up, Kevin?
How was your New Year's?
It was rocking, big dog. How was yours, Kevin?
It was good.
What did you think about the bowl game?
We should have won that game.
Yeah, I completely agree. Should have, absolutely.
How about DeMarcus Riddick, Walker White, and everybody?
And everybody. I hear you, Kevin.
Nice.
DeMarcus Riddick's moved in. Cam Coleman's moved in. Walker White moved in today. I think all those early enrollees are on campus. They reported this weekend or either today, and we'll be going through spring practice. I think it's Well, I'll just give you the guys who are not going to be, and this is including transfers. Where are my early enrollees post on Auburn Live on 3? Everybody is in except for DeAndre Carter, Malcolm Simmons, Perry Thompson, Amon Lane Gaines, J.R. Buckner, preferred walk-on long snapper, and Dimitri Nicholas. And real quick on Dimitri Nicholas, Kevin, he's the lone commitment and non-signee. And I actually talked to him earlier today, and he is working on a date for an official visit to Auburn in January. He's the big nose tackle from down in South Florida, Miami, Norland, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah. So he's really wanting to get back up here in January, and he wants to bring his mom with him. So as far as interest from his side, it's still very high. Now, I should know in the coming days, or we all should know, whether that interest is mutual, whether Auburn is reciprocating that interest. But Dimitri Nicholas, for all you guys following along, he is working, or he would like to set up an official visit to Auburn this month, and we'll see if that comes to pass.
That would be big, because obviously it's either you're adding another young kid to the mix, and we know that we need defensive linemen in this class. I mean, I don't think, even though we added a really nice portal pickup today on the defensive line to go along with Gage Keys, I don't think we're done. And I didn't realize the number of bodies. When Cole started saying, hey, we were going to take 4 transfers, I was like, no way, man. And then I checked around after he said it, and I was like, yeah. Because
Jhead, it pays sometimes to look at things like we do and break it down, because you go, now who's going to be the guy on the D line? I don't have an answer, and for that reason, I knew it had to be 3 or 4. I don't care what they say; it's going to have to be 3 or 4,
right? Because they don't have There was no one in the portal, short of the kid that signed with Ole Miss, that could replace the production that you got from Marcus Harris. There just wasn't. There wasn't a guy that was there. So you're going to have to attack it through numbers, bodies, and rotation, and keep guys fresh. And to do that, you have to add 3 or 4. I was thinking 2, but they're going to figure out a way to make the numbers work. As Jeffrey told me, like I said, when I got my start here, the numbers always work out. Numbers
always
amazing. It's amazing.
I can confirm, by the way, since we're on this topic, Tomiwa Durajaye, however you say his name,
yes,
from West Virginia, and then you have Isaiah Rakes from Texas A&M,
right?
Both takes, want them both. Auburn wants them both, and working on them. So I heard maybe some positive news about both of them today. Probably feel a little bit better about Rakes with Auburn. I called, made a final call on guys, and I said USC, but I do think it's really close, and I wouldn't count Auburn out here yet.
No, I mean, the fact that he hasn't committed to USC yet, to me, means you're still alive. And if you're still alive, then the kid's debating what he wants to do.
Yep. Tomiwa. Cole, have you heard who the other schools are?
Yeah, it's Florida State is where he recently. It was his last.
I knew that. Yeah, you're right.
I think he took one more. I can't remember now. Was it Arkansas?
I think he was going to go to Arkansas and canceled. That's my understanding.
That's right.
I think the only 2 places that he's visited is Auburn and Florida State. And at last word, the expectation was a decision sometime this week and moving in. Like I don't think he's planning to take more visits when the period reopens on the 11th. I think he's a kid that's looking to punch his ticket and go somewhere.
Yeah,
go ahead, Cole.
He's not going to wait. And then you have Percy Lewis. I mean, any minute, any time, we don't know about. He told me, he's like, I don't do that social media stuff. So he's not going to make an announcement. Either Auburn or Arkansas, those are the 2 schools, is going to make an announcement. Neither one have yet. So we haven't heard anything there. I just saw a post on the board. Someone was asking about that. Percy Lewis, the Mississippi State offensive tackle transfer, which, by the way, guys, you get that guy, you feel a lot better. I mean, you feel a lot better. You don't feel great about things, probably. There's probably some places that you have wanted Auburn to do a little bit better in the portal, and they do too, by the way. I don't think they would argue with that. But you get Percy Lewis, and your offense is looking a little bit better then.
You've at least got a potential starter at tackle that would allow Dylan Wade to move in. Is that kind of the –
it's like
that just strengthens the offensive line so much. that one move. It really does. There's so much that can be done from that move, and Percy's more of a pass protector. In fact, when he was in the rotation earlier in the season with Mississippi State, he was brought in on passing downs, and that's
No
the guy
kidding.
they wanted. That's the guy they wanted.
Rotating.
Yeah, like they weren't your hand at all, right? You know what I mean? When
Third
you're
and long, Percy, you're in.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, look, third and long, you know what's coming. So
Yeah.
they put their pass protector in, but then he took over. He ended up being the starter for like the last 6 or 7 games for Mississippi State. Just because, man, he's a mountain, dude.
He is
a
huge.
mountain. Yeah.
So let's see here. The 3 guys we're keeping 4 guys really, 4 transfers that we think will be making decisions in the next few days. Tomiwa, Jayo Shaoja. Isaiah Rakes,
Yes,
Percy Lewis,
yes,
and CJ Daniels, the wide receiver from Liberty.
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Those guys, and then of course Rico Walker made his commitment today to Auburn. So did Trill Carter, the defensive lineman. Rico Walker, 3-year eligibility, tight end from Maryland. Auburn was very excited to get him.
And something tells me to look out for another one of these just blindside out of nowhere pickups like Sam Jackson. Just kind of be on the lookout for something like that. I wouldn't be shocked by that at all, because I've observed. I sat in the building for a week.
Yeah,
from like 8 o'clock in the morning to like 5 in the afternoon.
Sure.
And just getting a feel for the way they're doing things, watching the guys on film that they're bringing in. They want young guys, man. I think they did the grad transfer thing last year and realized we didn't build anything with that. It's unfortunate. They helped out while they were here, but what are we building exactly if we're doing that? So it seems to me like, and whether you agree with it or not, I mean, I'm not trying to get into that part. I'm just telling you what I think they're doing.
Sure.
It seems to me like they want these young guys to come in and help build the program. Jhead, he's a 3-year guy. Rico Walker's a 3-year guy. Sam Jackson's got 2 years. Now they're going to get some grad transfers too, because they got to bridge that gap for these young guys.
I like the 1-year guys.
I do too, Jeff.
For this team, when you got as much young talent, I like the 1-year guys. Give me 1 more year with so-and-so, with the Johnson kid from Louisiana. We don't need a guy to come in here and start for the next 3 years, although that would probably be nice. But I'm just saying, you're probably going to be a little bit more expensive. But I like it. And but Cole, I think you hit it on the head. They're wanting to build here.
They are.
You went from
If
what,
it's
20
a-
something last year to maybe 8 or 10 this year.
If it's a guy that has multiple years, like Jhead or Rico Walker, they're going to be a specimen, a prospect, a guy that you look at and go, "Wow, I see the potential there." And you see Rico Walker walk through the door, and you're like, "Ooh, that's what you're looking for when he comes to frame now, NFL type frame going on there." So that's what they're. I mean, that's almost like taking a guy out of high school that you think is a prospect.
That's exactly what it is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Rico Walker makes up for not getting a high school tight end this year.
Boom.
And
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Gives you 2 guys that you can start fresh with. I know people don't understand. Like, I think I answered the question like 10 times different ways of why are we bringing in a transfer portal tight end? We don't need a tight end. Well, you do need a tight end because if you're looking at roster management, you're projecting forward. Okay.
Right.
You can't always take a guy to play right away. You have to take guys that are going to develop into what you think they can be, because it's just that roster slots trying to build layer depth, even though that's not attainable. And the new ruling on the transfer, on multiple transfers, does not help you with doing that either. I mean, any guy you thought you had locked in after a one-time transfer, now you've lost all leverage on that deal. So, that becomes even more difficult. But bringing in a developmental player like Rico Walker, to me, is a plus when you're losing as many tight ends as we are next year.
Michigan is.
By the way, Michigan just broke off another 40-plus yard run there for a touchdown.
I feel like I'm going to be doing good tonight, guys.
Zach, Michigan by 30. That's what I meant to say. That's what I said.
Come on over to the dark side. My Jim Harbaugh, Mr. Listen, by the way.
Stallions.
Dude, my all-time favorite thing. I'm friends with a couple of Troy guys, and they made an announcement on their loudspeaker at one of their games. Welcome Georgia Southern and maybe Connor Stallions.
Oh no, we didn't. Did they really?
Yeah, man.
That's good. That is good.
Oh, that's awesome.
But
All right, Zach, let's get to some phones, man. I'm sorry.
no,
We haven't talked in 3 weeks. Y'all forgive us a little bit.
5810. You're live. Who we talking to? Where are you calling from?
Fellas, Vincent from Montgomery.
Hey, there he is.
my
All right,
man.
Anthony.
Talk some sense to us, big dog.
Hey, it was good. I was in this call. Y'all segue right into what I want to talk about.
All right.
So I agree with y'all on the youth movement going on with seeing what's going on in the transfer portal. I feel like they freeze from some of these star positions and early playing time, and that's cool. If you're gonna go with the freshmen, that's cool. So my question is, with the boosters probably unhappy with the way the bowl game with Thorne, if you selling your 2024 class, why not let them all go together? Why not put Walker White out there? And that's not even saying because of what happened at the Under Armour game. I mean, at the All-American game. That ain't got nothing to do with why I'm saying this. If the passing game gonna look like it did last year, and I ain't saying Thorne can't get better. But my thing is, you selling the future. Don't you think he free can go to the booster and be like, hey, I'm just gonna ride with the class that you guys helped me build. I'm gonna put Walker White out there and let him go these receivers and let them grow together. I mean, if they go through growing pains this year, don't you think next year going into 25, it'll be all better? I mean, with a year under Walker White belt, why not just let them put them out there? If you're gonna play all freshman receivers, basically, because you haven't when they got an outside guy, and don't look like we playing to if outside of CJ Daniels. But why not just put Walker out there and let them play with Cam Colvin and Terry Thompson and let all of them just go to work and see where we go from there? That's all I had to say. I want to know how y'all feel about that.
Anthony, you remember when I said earlier in the show, I've got my opinions on the quarterback situation. That's exactly what my opinion is. To me, listen, I'm not going to knock Peyton Thorne. I'm going to say this. Hugh Freeze knows 2025 is the first year that they're going to have a legitimate shot at making that playoff. They got a great schedule that year. They're going to have 3 years in the system. For me, personally, Hank Brown, Walker White, Holden Gerder to some extent, but I feel like whoever you think your 2025 quarterback is going to be, that's who I'm riding with. I'm letting them battle it out for 2024, and I'm letting them go through the growing pains of.
Not to cut you off, Jeffrey, but exactly. So my thing is, if you ride with Thorne for a year, next year you're going to go into 25.
Get you nowhere.
Then everybody's like, okay, this your third year. You better do something. Why go in it with either have to find a new quarterback or go to the transfer portal when you can get Walker White ready, right? Let him go through his growing pains at 24. And he'll be ready to roll at 25. That's my point.
Count me in, big dog. Count me in.
Do something. Just put him out there now. So let him go through a 24 your second year, and you can tell the boosters, hey, I'm putting my 24 guys out there. We're gonna let them grow, and then 25, we're gonna make that jump. If you don't do that now, if you ride with Thorne next year, you either got to go to the transfer portal or walk into 25, starting a guy with inexperience. So that's my point. Put him out there. Just let him see what he do.
I love it.
I think.
Thank you, Anthony, because I thought I was crazy when I was thinking this. I was like, man, I'm done with the upperclassmen guys. I want Henry Brown. I want Walker White battling it out this year. Winner take all for 2024. Now you've got a year under your belt. You're going to win 7-8 games. You're not going to make the playoffs this year. I'm sorry, you're not. 2025, now you've got a full year under your belt. You're with your quarterback, with your sophomore quarterback and your sophomore wide receivers.
Yeah.
I'm with you, but I've got a rebuttal. But I'm
okay. There's a good Knock me out, big dog.
I think I think so. We saw from Hugh Freeze this season paranoia on a lot of things. Okay, and that's where he draws comparisons to Gus. Is that you were paranoid this year, and look, he had reasons to be. He had reasons to be a lot of times. Sometimes I wish he would have come out of it a little bit more, but it was at least understandable for the most part, I thought. Now, I've seen him when he had a roster he liked, Liberty, Ole Miss, and he's not afraid to pull a quarterback if they're not doing well. when he feels better about what's going on everywhere else. If he's not going to get a portal quarterback, this is just my opinion, my thought. I think Peyton Thorne's going to have the shortest leash ever. He did this year for a lot of time. So he felt like Hank Brown handled the moment pretty well. Maybe he feels okay there. And then you see what Walker White is capable of. I don't know how good he could be as a freshman, but potential, it's there.
I completely agree.
I just think Peyton Thorne's leash is going to be super short, or at least maybe it should be. I don't know.
I don't know what you gain. I don't know what you gain by playing Peyton Thorne.
This is my counter to what you're saying. I do think it's going to be a wide open competition. I don't think there's going to be anybody that's guaranteed the starter. I think when you go into spring, quarterbacks are going to be able to separate themselves from the pack, and they're going to do it again in the fall. But I will say this, if Peyton Thorne is the best quarterback, you will lose your team in a heartbeat if you play a young kid that's not ready to play just for a youth movement. You have veterans on this team that want to win now. They don't want to wait through the growing pains, and you will cause them out of the locker room if you don't play the guy that gives you the best opportunity to win.
Shut up, Jhead.
And let me just say this.
I do think that you got to figure out what's your succession plan if Peyton Thorne. Now, I'm not saying he's going to be the clear-cut guy. I'm saying he could be, and if he is, you got to let him be. But I'm with Cole. He's going to have a short leash because if you do what he did in the Maryland game and you have a hard time with the anticipatory part of being able to see throw wide receivers open, seeing plays open up downfield, your ball placement and accuracy is not where it needs to be. I saw Hank Brown hit the same 7 route. I mean, just absolutely threw a banger 7 route to Caleb Burton that Peyton Thorne missed and underthrew. Okay. So if the timing's not there, if the ball placement's not there, if the anticipatory part of understanding the offense is not there, you have to move on. But I think you have to play whoever the best quarterback is, or you run the risk of losing your team.
Fair enough.
I'll share this real quick. Sitting in the complex for this past week, talked to a lot of players that walked through, that are there working out, whatever, that we know from covering them recruiting. So talk to them. And, obviously they're not going to talk bad about any of their teammates, but one guy said, "Hey, y'all media, man, y'all doing Peyton Thorne wrong, dude."
Yeah.
I was like, people think I'm a Peyton Thorne truther, so I'm not doing anything wrong, apparently, for y'all.
They love him.
They do. They seem to. I mean, look, they're not going to say anything bad, so I'm not expecting like that to be
sure.
gospel or anything like that. But the guy's like, "Man, y'all doing him wrong, man. I'm telling you, he's our leader." Stuff like that. This is the kind of stuff they were saying to me, and I found it interesting.
Well, and I think he is a good leader. I think he's a great kid, but being a good leader and a great kid doesn't always get it done on the football.
Yeah, I mean,
those same reports
we're talking about.
Those same reports, Cole, from the players is exactly what I'm basing my opinion off of late last summer when I was saying, man, those guys were catching balls from him and going, "That's my quarterback right there." We don't have that guy. We don't have that guy on the team.
I didn't talk to anybody about his skills or what he is as a quarterback.
So keep that in mind. Yeah.
just hey, y'all doing him wrong, man. He's okay. He's going to be good for us.
Well, and that's good. That means he hasn't lost the locker room, which is important. It means that you still have guys who believe.
He has not lost the locker room. If you have a worry about Peyton Thorne, I can understand it, but don't worry about that. That ain't the problem.
That's a good thing.
All right, Zach, keep us going, big dog. Anthony and Kevin, I forgot to tell you thanks, big dog. We always appreciate you.
9332. You're live. Who we talking to? Where are you calling from?
All right, what's up, guys?
What's up?
Hear me?
Eric from Little River.
You better believe it.
I hear you, big dog.
Eric
Hey,
Mack.
I just want to give a big shout out, first of all, to Zach in the back. I know he don't much give, man. I just want to give him some love right now.
Absolutely.
Zach in the back. And,
Appreciate you, man.
Also, I feel real good about the basketball team right now. I don't know if y'all been keeping up with it, dude, but, man, they wrecked Arkansas.
Oh, yeah.
So shout out to the basketball team right now.
Yes, sir.
And as far as all the moves being made, man, you know, I feel like Philip Montgomery should have gone. Like I feel good about that move, but I don't know about Ron Roberts, man. I kind of like some of the schemes he was doing. I just felt like he needed the right pieces.
Speaking of right pieces, Eric, Keontae Scott just tweeted he's coming back. For all y'all. Speaking of the right pieces on defense, Keontae Scott, while you were talking, tweeted that he is coming back. So Keontae Scott, thankful for the patience and the honest opinions, but the real know where home is for me, WDE. So Keontae Scott coming back. Speaking of pieces, Eric Mack. So keep going. No, you weren't real sure about Ron Roberts.
I wasn't real sure about. Like I've heard, you know, is Ron Roberts gone too, or is he?
He's gone.
Still in the wing?
Yeah,
he's gone. He's gone to Florida.
Okay, all right.
And there's a coach at College Station that's pretty happy.
We got some bad weather up here in Little River tonight, and I've been trying to batten down the hatches, man. It's been crazy up here. So, but I wasn't real sure how that was going. Well, who do y'all? I mean, one of my questions is now, who do you think they're going to hire for defensive coordinator, and what do y'all think is going to be the best option? And I hope Auburn gets Ryan Williams, man. It's looking pretty good, what I've heard. And I'll hang up and let y'all talk about that, man. I love what y'all doing always. And you know, I'll call back here as soon as I can.
Appreciate you, Eric Mack. Appreciate you, big dog. Justin and Jhead both early in the show said number one defensive coordinator would be Chris Kiffin. Number two would be Zach Arnett. And he did ask about Ryan Williams. Ryan Williams, as you all know, over the break, scheduled his official visit to Auburn that first week in February. So it's just a few days before he makes his decision. Still committed to Alabama, saying all the right things. I know there's some confidence at Auburn. I think he's going to Texas as well.
Yes.
And then in Alabama, he's going to take all three of those visits over the next 3 or 4 weeks and then make his final decision on February 8th, I believe.
Yeah, I'm not loving Auburn there right now. I'll just be real with you. I hear things that Auburn has some confidence, but me personally, I don't buy it right now. I just don't feel it. But I will say this. We got an eternity to go on that recruitment. It feels like that one's like soon, but a month?
Yeah,
a little over a month from today. Okay, so there's still a lot of moves to be made at Auburn, still a lot of things to be done with the roster, whatever. So I don't know, man. I just don't feel it right now as of today. I want to see how it plays out, though.
Fair enough.
I think that's fair. And on the basketball tip, Eric, Justin and I are going to do a basketball show later tonight. Should have that drop for you first thing in the morning, where we're going to talk all about the Arkansas game and what happened leading up until that moment and what we expect going forward.
Oh, yeah.
So we got you covered all the way around.
Basketball teams, so much fun to watch. I love this team. All right, Zach, keep us going, big dog.
4003. You're live. Who we talking to? Where are you calling from?
Gentlemen, Carter Malton from Brookhaven. How's it going?
Oh, hey. Bammer lover.
What's up?
I'm actually sitting on the couch right next to the Bama bride.
Yeah, how about you?
Hey, she's rolling her eyes at me. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, I remember the night. I don't remember what night it was, but I remember the night that y'all announced that we had really hammered down on DeAndre Carter, and I watched that All-American Bowl, and I was astounded at this guy. He looks like a mixture of Marcus McNeil and Ben Grubbs, almost, and a little bit of King Dunlap almost rolled up into one.
How do you get a baby, huh?
Figuring into the offense.
I think Carter. Did you say how do we see him figuring into the offense? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll let these two guys handle that. Guard, tackle. What y'all think?
Guard for sure. Yeah.
Guard.
Left guard. If I'm being honest with you, though, he could play either side. I'm actually, if Percy Lewis comes out and commits to Auburn, and even if he doesn't, I'm going to drop a depth chart of where I project everybody to be.
Oh, cool.
moving forward here in the next couple of days. So Carter, make sure that you stay in tune for that. But left guard, my expectation, he's going to redshirt this year, but I think he's a kid that could see the field in year 2. He's got that kind of talent base, but he needs to improve his body somewhat. But when you watch his skill set, when you watch him get into his pass set, his athleticism, balanced body control, I mean, he's got it, man. I mean, I really believe he's a talented kid, and I think him, TJ Johnson, I really think they hit on the JUCO kid. I do. I think he's going to require some development.
Seth.
Yeah, Seth Wilford. I think they hit on that one. Obviously, they hit on Colin. So you've got some really good young pieces that you've picked up, and I'll be interested to see what Cole's opinion is. I would trust his opinion far more than my own, but really like what the kid brings to the table.
Well, I think a lot of people wanted to know what the deal was with his ranking, and if you see him in person, you go, he's going to have to trim up a little bit. That there's no doubt about it. But
Looks
man,
a little sloppy.
His legs, tree trunks, man.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the thing. One thing I've learned in the analysis side of things and breaking things down when talking to coaches who have reached out and said, hey, man, that's pretty good analysis. Don't say sneaky athletic. Don't say, wow, he's good for his size. Then you're making an excuse. Okay, he's that size, but no, this guy's athletic, and he's quick and strong. I don't care what his size is. He's good at all those things. And I've seen that from the first time I watched his tape. He showed it in the All-American Bowl. He's pretty advanced right now. Okay. I will say that. Pretty advanced.
Yeah. Football IQ, Cole. I agree.
I love it. I got one more question for y'all. If you had to go with 3 linebackers, 2025 class, just throw me 3 that y'all think are the most likely in your opinion as of right now.
2025? 2025? Is that the next class? Oh, so that's Eric Winters.
Eric Winters.
Tavion and Jhead Pilati. Those are the 3 that I would pay attention to as of today.
Yeah. I don't see them veering off of those 3 plus JJ Falk too. Of course, he's already in, but those 3 are the ones, and they're going to work them to the end. That's for sure.
Y'all have a good night. War Eagle.
Appreciate you, Carter. Always do, man. Tell Alabama girl we said thanks for Michigan. All right, Zach. Finale. I got a good one coming on right here. Who is it?
Yeah, you do.
I believe we got excuse me. I believe we got Sky here. Sky, you're live.
All right, Sky.
Sky, keep it grounded.
Jeffrey, Jhead,
Sky,
and Zach in the back.
What's up, Sky?
Y'all doing all right?
I'm good, big dog. How about you?
Highs and lows, big dog.
Hey, look, man, I really haven't been plugged into what's been going on with the football program the past week or so. But I thought we all had turned to, before the bowl game, I was at a place, and I feel like a lot of us were at a place where we was going to get, and Hugh Freeze seemed like he was at a place where we were going to give Peyton Thorne the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
Going in the 2024 as the starter. But then the bowl game happened, and all of us were scratching our heads after that pick 6, and just some
scratching more than the head. And
we're like, wait a second. And maybe we need to make a move. So, what was his name? Caden Salter, the Liberty quarterback, and did the sports management issue or whatever that degree is come back and bite us in the rear end again? Just like
I haven't heard that yet.
Last year.
I'll put it this way, Sky. He didn't just have interest from Auburn. All right.
No, yeah.
He had interest from some others and some pretty good schools from what I understood. And he ain't going to any of them. I don't know. I'm not trying to speculate, but I find that interesting.
Gotcha. Okay. It wasn't
similar to Grayson McCall, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
But Auburn was interested. And I just got a feeling like I heard you guys talking just a little while ago. It was like we were kind of conceding that Peyton Thorne, it was going to be an open competition, but it didn't look like we were going to get a quarterback. I mean, is the window already closed for us to get a quarterback for spring practice?
Not closed, but there's just limited options right now. There's just
Who's in?
Yeah, when you look at who's in, now that Jhead Maeva has committed to Georgia, and that was somebody I was paying attention to, would Auburn be able to get him to visit? That was the last one, in my opinion, that moved the needle for Auburn as far as the ability to come in and truly compete for this position.
Yeah.
The McLeod kid from JMU still out there. I don't think there's a whole lot of interest. I think they kick the tires and they're content to see what they got in their young quarterbacks, have an open competition, see what they got in their young quarterbacks, and then go from there.
Jhead, correct me if I'm wrong.
If I can just interject here, based upon Cole's reaction when Ryan Williams was brought up, his recruitment, I got a sneaky feeling that who's Auburn's quarterback is gonna,
factor in
who Auburn has at quarterback. How much is that going to affect Ryan Williams' decision? And I'm gonna hang up and listen. And I love the show, and I love you guys, and I'll holler at you later.
How about you? All right, see you. See you, Sky.
Cole, get me your pick, and then we'll talk about Ryan.
That's a good, fair question, Sky. I think that's a fair question to ask with this recruitment. I've heard things that a quarterback mattered to him if he was going to consider leaving Alabama to go to Auburn or flipping, whatever you want to call it. With Alabama, they have so much consistency, right? Their coaches change a lot, but the head man's always the same, and ain't nobody telling him what to do. All right. So he's going to keep reloading the roster with good quarterbacks. And that is a huge, huge deal for Ryan Williams. He doesn't know if he can trust that with Hugh Freeze yet at Auburn. Now, Hugh Freeze is going to tell him, hey, look what I've done, man. Look what I've done at the places I've been, Ole Miss. You look at Liberty, Caden Salter's the guy. He can do all that, but until it's done at Auburn, I don't know. That is one of my drawbacks for sure.
Absolutely it is. And I think obviously your selling point to Ryan Williams is the future is Walker White. Okay, look, he was the best quarterback at the Army All-American game. He absolutely tore it up. Now, Julian Sayin is the quarterback commit in Alabama's class. That's an easy selling point for them as a counterpoint.
Yep.
Obviously, your quarterback situation is much more stable with who they presently have as their starter than Auburn's situation. I think you're probably also selling the wide receiver position. And if you paid attention to the Under Armour All-American notes, having the opportunity to play in the slot with Perry Thompson on one side and Cam Coleman on the other has to be awful appealing to Ryan Williams, because Cam Coleman absolutely mossed Ellis Robinson, who might be the best cornerback, potentially the best player in this recruiting class, and Cam Coleman dominated him in one-on-ones. So having the opportunity to play with other great players also factors into this. I'm with Cole. I just don't know right now. I think it's still too fresh in his determination of, reclassification. Let him take his visits. Let's see how this plays out. And then what's the money situation? You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, quarterback matters, but who's paying you more, man? Like, let's be for real here for a second.
It's nice to be able to say that out loud.
You know what I mean? Like, who's paying you more is going to matter in this situation. Is it the end all be all? No, but it will matter. So that's also going to play a part in this.
And for those wanting to know where, you're looking at the portal and going, well, you're not throwing a lot of money at these big time guys. They're going to do it with Ryan Williams. I am not concerned about that whatsoever. They will have the money for whatever.
Auburn will have the biggest offer on the table for him.
Yeah, no expense spared on that one for sure.
But it's one of those where it's going to come down to the 11th hour. I would assume.
Yeah, I mean, we were sweating Perry in the 11th hour.
I just think the easy play here for all Auburn fans is to expect him to stick with Alabama.
Yes.
And celebrate if he doesn't. But lower your expectations. Hey, he's going to come for a visit. Auburn's got a great shot. But in the end, expect him to stick with Alabama. And if he doesn't, celebrate then.
Correct. Yeah, I mean, I think you would need to look at this one very much like you just looked at it with KJ Bolden.
Sure.
I don't think anybody should have ever expected KJ Bolden to be in Auburn's class. Did we all think that Auburn had a fantastic shot at KJ Bolden? Hell yeah, we did. But to expect him to sign on the dotted line with Auburn, that was just too tough for me to ever really wrap my mind around. And I think Auburn fans would be best served to take this approach with Ryan Williams.
I think Cole's power might have went out. I saw the lightning.
There you go.
I'm good. Had to go make sure the internet box was still on.
Yeah, the surge protector went out.
Yeah, we had a little flicker. I had to go make sure the internet box was good. We're good. So
I mistimed my mute button. That chair's squeaky.
Yeah. That animal ran up underneath the chair.
Oh God, Lord have mercy. Oh my goodness. All right, man. I'm glad to be back.
Yes.
This is my favorite. This is my favorite hour and a half
I love it.
all week. Love it. Love the interactions. Do we want to hit a couple of questions from the chat? Do we have anything? We got about 10 more minutes if y'all want to hit it. Let's see. What's going on with Michigan? 17-3. I tell you what,
Yeah,
if they're holding Washington to 3 points,
I'm telling you, man, they're pretty well rounded. Michigan.
If Michigan doesn't make errors in that Alabama game, they win that one by 14 or 17 points. I firmly believe that.
They were trying to lose.
You know, Jim Harbaugh is one of the few coaches. Now, they've had a lot of good seasons with him.
I mean,
but they've had some where Michigan fans were like, what is this?
They
couldn't get over the hump of beating Ohio State. You know, I just don't understand. And I don't know if it's, you know, there are programs out there that will not let the head coach do every single thing they want to do. I don't get it. I don't care if you trust him or not. Let him do it. You hired him.
Yeah.
You know, don't tell that guy what to do. I think they probably did that with Jim Harbaugh at one point, and they laid off him because he might have been going to the NFL. Look at them. Well, they have built a fantastic roster.
They had that awful season during the COVID year where I think they had a losing record, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
And Jim Harbaugh did the rare thing that coaches don't do. He openly took a pay cut to stay there.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot that.
Gave money back to the university. And now he will be only one of two coaches. Nick Saban can't even say this, that has coached in a Super Bowl and won a national championship. Only Pete Carroll can also say that. That's pretty rarefied air, guys. Maybe John Robinson, maybe he won a national championship at SC and also played in the Super Bowl. I can't remember for the Rams.
Yeah.
One of three coaches.
Wow. Wowzers. This is a good question going back to the Ryan Williams. I think this could be an important little curveball here. Any movement on or any new info on KJ Lacey, the junior quarterback from Saraland, who is committed to Texas, but he sure has been to Auburn a lot, and Auburn sure is pushing like hell for him.
Number one on the board, I think.
Yeah, I think he is too. I think he's number one for 25.
I mean, it's hard to say definitively anytime, right, in recruiting.
Sure.
But it sure feels like he's number one on the board right now.
I know some of the other quarterbacks feel that way. 2025 quarterbacks that have a lot of interest in Auburn feel like KJ's the top target, and Auburn's going to wait on him before making a move. Mm-hmm. I don't know how long you wait on a kid who's already committed, because ideally you want your quarterbacks committed. Hell, Walker White committed in early February.
Yes.
So you want your quarterback for the 2025 class committed in the next 6 to 8 weeks at the most. So I tell you what, if Auburn were to flip KJ Lacey, I would be very much more. Ryan Williams would be much more in play, I think, with KJ Lacey on the commitment list.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying he's not. Auburn might get Ryan Williams without KJ Lacey. I'm just saying if you've got KJ Lacey committed or flipped from Texas, that's a really good sign if you're trying to flip Ryan Williams.
Especially with
Yeah.
Antonio Coleman, who's also a friend of
Antonio
Ryan Williams.
Coleman.
in the
And
commitment.
there was a string there, and it was right after signing day, which signing day was a good day for Auburn, a really good day. And then you flip Antonio Coleman from Alabama, a guy they don't want to lose, dude.
No.
I get the concern with the transfer portal, and if you've been on the corner, my goodness, there's a lot of it.
Sure.
And a lot of it's warranted. Some people freak out a little too much, but a lot of it's warranted.
Absolutely, they freak out too much.
But guys, I mean, they are building, like Edward said. It's not. He made a comparison one night when he called it, and he said, "My neighbor, they were down to the slab, and they just started. The slab was cracked, so they started a whole new slab foundation on that lot. That's what's going on. All right, they didn't want to build from the foundation that was there. They want to start their own, and I'm all for that because I don't think the foundation that was there was any good. That's all I'm saying.
Not one with a lot of upward trajectory anyway, Cole.
No.
Let's see here. Brandon wants to know any thoughts on Quinshon Judkins from Ole Miss, who I believe was reported to be visiting the Ohio State. He says he works with his sister, but she's been kind of mum on everything. I just don't see it happening with the running back room. He's not coming to Auburn.
No.
He wants money, and Auburn is not willing to pay it.
I will tell you this, and this is not my sourcing. Neil McCready, who covers Ole Miss for the Rivals Network, reported that Quinshon's deal with them was somewhere around $500,000. Auburn's not paying $500,000 for a running back right now. I'm not telling you we're moneyballing stuff, but the need isn't there to quantify that kind of an asking price.
He's going to be valued more elsewhere. Auburn's not going to value him that way.
No.
I get. Do y'all get the sense? Do y'all get the sense that when it comes to the money thing, there is a very big concern with how it is portrayed in the locker room? If you were to go and pay whatever for Walter Nolan, for example.
I think that's an epidemic across the country.
That's why he's leaving Ole Miss.
100%.
He saw the money coming in, and he was like, I want some more. And they were like, nah, we're good. He's like, well, I'm going to leave. And they said, okay.
Called his wife.
And look, hey, Lane Kiffin, man, give him some credit because he's completely turned it into a business and said, look, running backs don't get drafted that high anymore.
It's your value to us. Your value to us is not that high, Quinshon. Your value to Ohio State might be that high. Your value to, Georgia Tech might be that high, but it's not to us.
Right.
And on the other
that's
side,
where you get into free agency.
And on the other side of that coin, I believe in, hey, I don't believe, no offense, I don't believe you're worth this much.
Yeah. We don't value you that much.
I don't have a problem with that either.
And that's not to say he's not a fantastic running back.
He is a fantastic running back.
Right.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
But you only have a certain allotment of money, right? And you have to find ways to make it work. And typically speaking, most teams are having an NFL model where your quarterbacks and premier positions are getting the large majority of your money, and then everything else is kind of trickling in. Running back, because it's a high collision position, is not a premium spot. I mean, there are a lot of guys that are fantastic athletes that are good running backs. And again, I think Quinshon Judkins is probably the best running back in the SEC, but not at that asking price. Sure, and maybe, look, my guess is at the end of the day, Ole Miss and Quinshon figure out a way to make that work. Because I honestly don't believe there's anybody else in the country that's going to pay what Ole Miss was already paying him. I believe that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Hey, this is a great question to go out on for the night. Tristan Quick, great question. Is the 2024 roster, which is still filling some holes in, but overall in general, so far, is the 2024 roster better than the 2023 roster as of right now? So forget who they might add in the coming days or weeks. I'm talking about right now. Tristan's talking about right now. If you look at Auburn's roster with the 2024 class added to it, transfer portal guys gone, is it better? Is it better? Is it more talented than what we just saw this past season?
Let's talk about position rooms, and let's say where we upgraded, where we did. Running back, same, right?
Sure, push.
No upgrade.
Yeah, it was a push to me. Like I don't think you lost that much, Rod Petit, but
Listen,
you
No, I had forgotten he was even. No,
if
he's not
you
lost.
if you have a good room, that's good. Auburn has a good running back room right now. But you have to upgrade every year. And right now Auburn's not doing that. There's no upgrade that I can see. I don't see a plan there yet.
You talking about running back?
Running back.
Okay.
Right.
I don't
But
see a plan there yet. That's what I'm more looking at when I answer this question is what's the plan in that room?
Right. But if you're talking about talent by comparison to 2023 to 2024, I think it's a push. I don't think
Sure.
there's that much difference in that room from one year to the next.
No, at that room, yeah, it's the same.
We'll hit them all this. All right, let's hit the quarterback.
Same. Well, no,
Yes.
more talented. I think it's more talented because
I do too. You traded Walker White for Robbie Ashford.
More talented.
More talented.
Wide
Wide receiver, no question.
Yeah, more talented.
More
Not
talented.
even in the same ballpark. Look at that. I thought I had it. Tight end? No,
Push.
at best. Oh, you're getting everybody back except for Tyler Fromm,
Yeah, and
you're bringing in Rico.
I think a year forward that the kid from
Yeah.
Nebraska could replace the production that Tyler Fromm had.
I completely agree. I
So
think they're going to be better than they were this past year, and that's.
I'm going to say push.
But there's not anybody. Rico for Tyler Fromm push. All right, that's
Yep.
good. Let's see. Offensive line.
Better because of a year more in the system.
That's 3. I say better on offensive line because a year more, like you said, DeAndre Carter, Seth Wilfred, and Favor Edwin.
Oh,
They bring it up for sure.
Yep.
And then you actually,
did Auburn lose anybody to the portal? Offensive
No,
line?
and I don't expect them to either.
Wow, that's really impressive.
They lost Stutz to Stutz and Irvin obviously graduated.
And Gunner's gone, right?
Gunner's gone. Avery Jones is gone.
But if you bring in Percy, in my opinion, now we can't say that for this exercise, but you bring in Percy, I think you definitely upgraded.
Okay.
Definitely.
Okay. Now I think the first thumbs down might come on the defensive line.
Yes, definitely for me, because nobody replaces the production you got.
Yeah, as of right now, I agree. And I like Amaris Williams. I thought that was a great addition there at the end for talent. But that room just needs more. Just got to have more.
Talent-wise, probably, but thumbs down.
That room is a work in progress. And again, I can see the plan there. I can see the plan.
Yeah.
There's wheels in motion.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they've got young pieces that are coming in, but losing Marcus Harris hurts you, man. If you could have figured out a way to get that one back, I'm feeling really positive defensive line right now.
I agree.
Hey, linebacker, including the edge.
Oh, yeah.
Much better.
Upgrade.
Oh, look at Jhead. Got the thumbs down. Look at you, big dog. Hey! That's bullshit, man. You stole my box. I wonder if it's because you're in the middle.
I don't know. Maybe.
Move me back to the middle, Zach.
You stole my box. He moved it. I didn't know you could move it.
I didn't either. Look at Zach. Those are those production skills we just don't know about.
Remember this?
Yeah. Oh, the air quotes.
Come on, dude. What the hell?
I know, man. Secondary. I think
there you go. Stick me back in the corner.
Secondary.
I like it.
Taking a step back.
Secondary, thumbs down.
Yep.
Linebacker and Jack both huge. Secondary, thumbs down.
Yep. So we think
the
takes a step forward this year, and the defense probably takes a step back to begin with.
Ooh, good. Yeah. So will they be on paper more talented? On paper.
Overall, I think yes. I mean,
So
just
you're
the
bringing
2024 class in general, dude, is talented.
Really?
Look, as far as natural God-given ability, the best pieces of clay still come from high school recruiting. They just do. That's where you have an opportunity to upgrade each and every year. You know what's going to be there. The portal kind of, to me, is what's in the portal dictates what you're going to be able to get out of it. With high school, you kind of know more what you're going to be able to get, and the best pieces are still high school pieces that you can mold into what you want them to be. So I think the overall ceiling has improved. Is that going to change the win total? We don't know just yet, but overall talent, I think so, for sure.
Wow. Yep. That's a great question to go out on. Fantastic, Tristan. We appreciate that question, buddy. Also appreciate all the calls. Oh, country kid. Mr. Edward from Selma, always getting us started off on the right foot. Kevin keeping us in line and in check with these 2024 signees. Anthony from Montgomery, thank you for bringing that quarterback opinion in, because I had one very similar. Oh, Eric Mack from Little River. I wonder if that's where Little River Canyon is.
Maybe.
I would think so.
Maybe.
Little River Canyon. Carter, old Bammer lover. And old Sky closing us off. Oh, Sky. Hey, we're going to y'all keep track of all this transfer stuff. I know Jhead's posted some really good stuff on the corner. If you're not a member of Auburn Live on 3, please go give us a check it out. Check it out. And I think if you use AU1 for you YouTube listeners and watchers, 2 months for $1. 2 months. Don't tell anybody though. Just for the YouTube folks. AU1, capital A, capital U1. Auburn Live on 3. We're going to be all over all the news, transfer portal news, coaching vacancies, coaching jobs, transfers in, transfers out, and spring practice. Hell, probably be here soon. But we will be back later this week with a recruiting show, and then we'll be starting back next week on our regular scheduled call-in show time. So it'll be day and time, Sunday at 6:30. We're going to shoot for that every week, getting back to that day and time. All right, folks, that's going to do it, man. We really appreciate everybody listening. We appreciate everybody watching. We truly do. One more time, Jessica Andrews with the Talents Group, 334-704-4442. Give her a call. Tell her we sent you. And we'll see you later this week. And she's a 5-star realtor. Like I said, if you don't ask me, if you don't believe me, just ask me. All right. We'll see y'all next week, man. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. For Cole, for Jhead, for Zach in the back, I'm Jeffrey Lee, man. Y'all stay at that left lane.